Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Monday to you, if there is such a thing. I have happy Mondays, but if you aren't, that's okay too. I hope it's a Monday nonetheless, and you do all right. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, just want to throw that out there. I love teaching people how to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. That's my goal. My passion is to just help you become more self-sufficient. That's why I create a trading academy, community, and signal group. So CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below if you want to become a better trader. I'll be happy to get to know you better as well. We have an amazing community. So if you want some support in this market, that's right. That's the right place to look. So take a look here at Ethereum. First and foremost, we're underneath all moving averages. So it's par for the course for pretty much every single coin right now, including Bitcoin, of course. So we want to just acknowledge and understand that we're below a lot of key level resistances. We're below a lot of descending trend lines, and being naive in the sense that Ethereum's just going to take off is again naive, I guess. So please try to recognize the fact that the market is in a downtrend overall, all right? And that overall sense of down is essentially causing the price of the secondary market in Bitcoin to effectively drop. And Ethereum is tied to Bitcoin, so that's kind of how that works. But either ways, that's kind of the obvious. So if you haven't seen my videos yet, you'll just recognize that we're not really in good shape right now, and the likelihood of it still coming down lower is very high compared to the opportunity for it to come back up. Not to say it won't recover in time, but I think we're a couple months away from that. We need to, because usually when you have a significant drop off, like the one we've seen here so far, it takes the faster the drop, the longer it takes to recover. So we need to wait for this to recover soon, okay? And when I say soon, I'm talking about a couple months here, of course. Actually, I kind of misspoke. It's not going to recover soon. I mean, simply put, we're looking at about 1 or 2 months of time at least to get there. And the main reason why I say that is because, again, this significant drop, how much percent is that from top to bottom? 75%. Ethereum's 75% down in 3 months. 2.5 months, basically. Okay, so again, that's a significant drop. So again, the likelihood of it just doing one of these is very, very low. Okay, because if you see from before, just give last summer as an example, price came down in May. Right, May 19th, I think it was. And then the price went sideways for about 2 months and then slowly continued to progress upwards. Okay, so we just had 2 of these back to back. So hypothetically, that could even take 4 months. But just say another 2 months here, where we're going to be naturally above this descending trend line. We're going to break that trend. We're going to potentially be back up over 1400, which is a key level resistance. And then we can have a leg to stand on. Okay, but between now and then, we just got to get it in our heads. Even though we might see a slight recovery between now and then, the likelihood of it sustaining is very low, okay? All right, so that's just kind of something I want to kind of throw out there. Another thing to recognize too also is that with the RSI, we're under 30, we're still stuck here. So until we can get a clean close back up over 30 on the RSI, we don't really have much to really go on here, okay? Even though we do have a potential convergence in the MACD here, you can see that the oscillators are waning. Yeah, basically the bears are losing control. They still haven't lost complete control yet. Okay, and we've seen this happen time and time again where these things become a lot bigger than these little uptrends. The downtrends are essentially a lot harder and a lot stronger. And what that is basically volatility, or just the amount of coins being available. We see Bitcoin dominance is very, very low, all things considered, and most altcoins are also low too. So that tells us a lot that there's not a tremendous amount of money in the market. A lot of money has come away from cryptocurrency right now because people are trying to survive. It's one of those things where people don't care much for it, so why are they going to invest in it? It's a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth because they've lost about 70-80%. I get that; it's totally the way it goes. But that's why you dollar cost average anti-position at these lower price points to make that difference. Anyways, so that's kind of where we're at there on the daily. Looking at the 4-hour though, just to kind of note here, we are getting rejected tentatively off the 50-day SMA, but we're above the 20. So again, 20 is a consolation. Being above the 50 is more important. So to me, a close today right in the 1150, 1200 range would be appropriate or helpful, but not quite out of the woods, because if we see here, we see this little resistance level. This one is essentially right about 1250. That's going to be a point of contention. If the price were to come up that high, it may get rejected. Another thing to notice too is that if you look at TD sequential here, we're at an 8. No, actually we just started our 9th candle about 6 minutes ago. So generally speaking, we are at this exhaustive state where the price has increased pretty significantly in the last 48 hours roughly, And we can see here that this case in point right here, we were hitting this little shelf and this resistance level. So the likelihood of the price coming back down is greater than it is coming back up or continuing higher. Once again, that doesn't necessarily have to happen. The price can totally go sideways at this support level here at about 1090 and bounce. That's a very strong likelihood as well, but just be prepared for a pullback. That's essentially what we're seeing right now in the last couple of hours, okay? So again, just something to kind of note there, but good news is we're up over 50 on the RSI, and that traditionally does work as a support level. So now that we're finally over 50, which it's been about, what, 2-3 weeks since we've done that? Yeah, I would say maybe about 10 or 11 days we've been under 50 on the RSI. On the 4 hour, and that's typically just a sign of being like, hey, we got this strong resistance level, break above, and we finally have. So hypothetically, the price were to come back down and retrace, it should bounce off 50 on the RSI, which is effectively right at about 1090, that key level support that we identified recently. Okay, so that's ultimately what we're looking for here is the price to go sideways for a few more hours, preferably just less volatility, just kind of keep it going stagnant, and then it'll take off again. You'll see these moments where Bitcoin just goes sideways and then just decides to just go on a tear. We're preparing for that right now, but it's a little early and premature. Just the thing to note is that we're overextended to the upside, so a slight pullback would make sense. Okay. Taking a look at the Ichimoku cloud as well. We're above the cloud, but the thing to really note, and this is the thing to me that's probably the most important, lagging spans soon intersect with the price action. That's going to tell us a lot about what's going to happen next. In other words, the price action should stop and slow down, and it's losing that momentum. That's basically what it's telling us. Even though the conversion line is above the baseline, and yes, we're above the cloud, and the likelihood of the cloud working as a support level is also equally as high, we may actually see the price reverse a little bit. In other words, there's a strong chance the price will come down to test the cloud, travel within the cloud, and maybe sustain itself. So as long as we can stay above both leads in the cloud, we should be in good shape. So just some things to pay attention to. So basically what this is telling us here is that if you have a long position, you may want to consider taking some profits just based on the fact that this being a conservative indicator is telling us that we might be nearing the end of this little trend, and you may want to expect the price to come back around. Okay. Taking a look at the 1 hour TD sequential, we can see we've hit basically not necessarily 2 nines in a row, but there's an 8 and a 9. So that's a pretty strong momentous trend. Anytime you see 2 8s, 2 9s in a row, you'll see, of course, the price usually goes sideways from there or pulls back. It's been going sideways for now, which is great. So it's staying in this nice little range of basically 1060 up to 1160. But once we can break above, say again, 1250, we'll be in better shape. Between now and then, I would expect the price to potentially just wave between 1090 and 1250. That seems like a pretty strong likelihood. But all in all, again, Ethereum looking decent. But the big picture here that you need to acknowledge, and some people forget to zoom out, is that we are in a significant downtrend. Until these trend lines can be broken, we're still in this mode here of just kind of nonsensical increases and decreases until Bitcoin finds its bottom. And Bitcoin's getting close to its bottom. I think we wicked down to 17,600 recently, and that's all well and good. That's nice, but 14,000 is that key level support now that we've broken 20. So there's a great chance we could see lower. But again, the price closed over 20,000 as well yesterday. But that was over a weekend. So a lot of interesting things. I'm more excited to see what's going to happen this week with the traditional trading week, because that's when you can really see the true numbers instead of these manipulative weekends based on, a small amount of overhead. And basically, because the less amount of volume that we have in general on exchanges, because again, people are pulling out their Tether, they're pulling out their Bitcoin, the less they have, the more volatile and the more increases or decreases we're going to see. That's why we saw this weekend. It was a crazy weird dump. You don't usually see that kind of volume on weekends. But with this increased amount of volume at lower price points, that's telling us we're getting closer to the bottom. Okay, so I think that we're getting there, because in order to see a recovery and a turnaround, you need to see volume, and thankfully we've seen that here so far. And it's interesting. Look at this. These 2 days here with the most amount of volume. I mean, obviously, maybe not compared to that, but in general, it's a reversal here almost. Because traditionally weekends, you'll see these little dips. These are weekends here, but instead, this weekend had the most amount of volume we've seen in a weekend in months. So it's a really good sign. That's kind of telling us that we're getting closer to the bottom, and then there's a lot of selling pressure and buying pressure instead of just the selling pressure. So again, some positive things here, of course, but are we out of the woods? No, definitely not. I would say, once again, approximately a month or two before we get in the free and clear. We'll probably be range bound between 900 and 1400 for some time. I know that's a wide range. It's a pretty significant margin. That's what's like somewhere in the range of 30-40% variable. So be cautious and careful with your positions, obviously. But generally speaking, until the price hits its bottom and Bitcoin can sustain a decent amount of volume at a better price point, a specific price point, such as 20,000, then we're going to be in this position right now where the price is going to continue to wick down, either on weekends or just in situations where we have these high volume. But I like to celebrate the fact that we have higher amount of volume here so far, and that's a really good sign. Those are things that not a lot of people look at, and I think it's important to recognize, where are we at with this volume? We take a quick look here. In fact, let's go ahead and see. Majority of the volume, of course, is right at that support level at 1090. So that is creating a nice strong foundation, giving us kind of a little bit of certainty where the price were to come back down and retrace. 1090 should be the immediate bottom. But once again, Bitcoin has a dead cat. It decides it wants to lose or drop. Somebody with a lot of money decides they just want to sell all of a sudden. Then Ethereum is going to have that knee-jerk reaction and come back down. So again, be careful and use only trades that are within your risk tolerance. That's what we can do. We control what we can, and that's position sizing and setting the appropriate profit targets. Make sure your profit targets are tight and your stop losses are loose, because it's just such a volatile market. You need to be able to survive and be able to maintain. But if you're position sizing effectively, you don't have to worry too much about that, because heaven forbid a trade doesn't go your way. You're not out 50, 60, 70% of whatever it is your overall amounts that you have. Never do that. I mean, we're talking fractions, like 1 or 2% of your trades should be in futures. And then, a traditional trade, I'll just say spot exchange, for example, you should do no more than 10% per trade, depending on the overall circumstance. Again, every situation is different, but if you position size effectively and work within your risk tolerance, you'll be less upset at the end of the day, and you'll be happier that you made the decision to not go all in. Because there's nothing worse than missing opportunities, but it's extremely worse when you have these situations where you put yourself in too far. You go in too hard. Okay. So right now it's not the time to go hard. That's just the way it is right now. The market is crazy. Either dollar cost average or position size small. Make them smaller in the overall sense of things, because we still have a couple of trades open from a couple weeks ago. I'm confident they'll recover in time, but at this point, I'm okay with leaving that aside and making sure that I eventually hit my target because I didn't position size too much. All right. Either way, I hope that makes sense to you. I just like to make sure to kind of impart you with good knowledge and things that you can hopefully use in the long term, in the big picture, because honestly, at this point, the market is rough. There's no doubt about it. And keeping a good head on your shoulders is important. You use this time to practice as much as you can. I've actually got a lot of people joining recently just to attend my academy to make sure that they understand how to become a better trader. I teach you everything you need to know that I teach in these things as well. It's just a little bit more focused and specific. So again, thank you so much to all of the support I've received over the last few months. It's grateful to know that we're on the right track and you're essentially learning and benefiting. So thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Once again, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below if you want to become a better trader. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon.